Okay, getting ready. Sitting here. Welcome to Revolution Evolution. I'm Michael English, and we are. I'm sitting here with my wife, and today it seems to be a theme that I've seen going around, and it's it seems to be like relationship saving, and I know a lot of people going through relationship stuff right now, and so I figure I want to talk about it because I have been through the I've been on the other side of all of this. And if you are in a traumatic marriage or relationship right now and are trying to figure out how you guys are going to save it, give me 1 second. I might have some answers. But most importantly, I'm just glad you're here joining us today. And I'm going to cut over to my wife just so you can see her lovely, wonderful face. There she is. And so here's the recurring theme, and I don't know if it's a New Year's thing or if it's hey man, we've been in this relationship for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. 10 years of marriage, it doesn't matter where you're going or where you've been. It's what you can do to fix what is there now. And, I've had some great conversations with some great people, and I've known some people that have gone through some serious trauma. I being one of them, not me being experiencing the trauma, but me causing the trauma in my marriage. And that's some of the things that substance abuse and addiction can do is especially if that's your outlet. There are other people that outlet is gambling, food addiction, sex addiction. It just depends on what your cup of tea is. And what I have seen is that what we have forgotten, and I think as couples, as people in relationships, is that once we've that honeymoon phase kind of ends after about the 3-month or 6-month period. We get comfortable. We stop dating each other, and we start taking each other for granted that we're always going to be there. And sometimes we take advantage of the situation. And I can attest to that from my own testimony that I have been guilty of it. I got bored in my marriage. I don't even know if it was bored. I just always thought she was going to be there, and gave up on 7 years of recovery and started drinking again. And there was a lot of things that compiled into that, because we had kids as well. Her 2 boys. And I had my son that was just going through stuff, and there was just all this chaos, and the only escape for me was alcohol, and then later on down the road, infidelity. And if you're wondering how to ever survive infidelity, it's really, really tough road. And I can't speak for the pain or the trauma that my wife has gone through, but she can't, and I'm going to put it over to her. Right, babe?
Yeah, I'm here.
So let me ask you a question while you're there. Is what was your biggest factor when it came to overcoming the trauma caused to you by me? And make sure you speak clearly into the microphone, please. I'm not trying to.
So, is your question, what is the biggest catalyst that helped me to overcome it?
Yeah. Like where was the starting point on your road to recovering from trauma caused you? And if there was any books or literature or anything that brought that upon you to take me back.
I can't. It's a really tough question to answer very specifically because I think it was several things.
Okay.
I did start going to therapy in the midst of kind of all of the stuff that we were going through at the time.
Me in treatment, you separated.
Yeah, and at that time, I don't think that was actually very helpful, to be honest. I went for about 6 months, and the things that I did for myself
Yeah.
were more effective in helping me to rearrange my thinking.
What was one of the biggest things that you did for yourself that helped you get back into a position of starting to slow down the madness?
So I'm a huge overthinker.
Okay.
And I read a few books. I can't particularly remember the names of all of them right now, but
Well, I know one was the Four Agreements.
oh,
I
that was
think.
a good one. Yep. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff was also nice and simple, easy to read, and pretty short, so you can get through it in a night. But I consciously made an effort to stop thinking about things because I can be very obsessive compulsive.
Mhm.
So when I start thinking about one thing, it snowballs into the deepest, darkest horror that you could possibly imagine, and then my head gets going, and then I make things up to insert into the places with where I don't have all the information, and the stuff that I made up in my head I think was probably way worse than it ever really was in real life. So what I did to myself was probably worse than some of the things that you did to our relationship.
Okay.
So I had to consciously make an effort to stop thinking about things. And this might sound stupid, but you know how when you get a song stuck in your head,
Sure.
and especially for anybody who's ever been, had the tendency to be obsessive compulsive, if a song gets stuck in my head, it's there for 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
And I found one
Okay.
song that got those other songs out. And so when I would start overthinking, I would just start singing that song to myself.
Okay.
And it's Israel Kamakawa Ole's version of Over the Rainbow.
Oh, the big Samoan guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yep.
Hey, that's not a bad song to be singing to yourself, I
And
guess.
and it seems stupid. Like you just think about a song, but if you're thinking about a song, you're not thinking about going down that rabbit hole.
So what was here? So I know a lot of other people. I know how we got past a lot of this, and a lot of this we got through by leaving. I mean, somewhat addressing. We addressed a lot of our issues. I know that we cried. We hugged each other. We loved each other. There was a lot of remorse, and of course, but how did we make it this far? Because for the last 3.5, almost 4 years now, we're going on 4 years of writing what I think a miraculous love story, because we don't say unkind words to each other. We have never raised our voice at each other. We have our debates, but we also are able to agree to disagree. And what do you think the hardest part with the trauma? Because with the infidelity, there's what was your first reaction after that, and then how did you come back from where you were going to where we are today?
What was my first reaction to when I first found out about it?
No, like after I went into treatment, and you had found out about it, and I shut my phone off because you're not allowed to have a phone in treatment. You're left to stew with all that, and then of course, you have your own. What I guess the question is when you're hurt like that, do you want to hurt me back, or did you?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did. But we've been through a lot in the 10 or 12 years that we were together. Before that, at the time, we
11 and a half.
already gone through some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you had your things that you did, and I'd already done that. I'd already reacted. I'd already gone out and done something thinking, oh, well, if I do something to hurt him back, then I'm going to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work. It only served to make me feel so much worse about myself.
Gotcha.
And then just gave me one more thing to feel just a crushing guilt about. And that did not make me feel any better. It made me feel worse. So this past time around, the last time, almost 4 years ago now, when that happened, and when I first found out, when I first found all the evidence that I needed to confirm that my fears were true.
Which was what?
I, when you went into treatment, when you left that day, or when you were going into treatment,
Right.
before you left, you had given me all of your
You wanted the passwords and everything.
passwords to everything. The
Mhm.
your Verizon account, everything, and Verizon had a feature I didn't think you knew about because you never
I
checked
didn't.
it.
Which I didn't.
Had a feature where it literally saves pictures of every single text going in and coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
That's all.
it was uncomfortable. I know that. When I found out about it, it was like, holy shit, they have a cloud.
Yeah, there's a cloud. And then on top of that, of course, I used to be an investigator, and I investigated some more. And then my knee-jerk reaction was to contact certain people.
For sure.
Mhm.
Right. And make them pay.
Right. Because you weren't answering your phone, obviously.
I couldn't. I'm in treatment.
And you had a history of doing that. You would ghost me regularly.
And that's the other thing that is not healthy is the ghosting
Right.
and the gaslighting.
Yeah, you gaslit me a lot. You ghosted me a lot. So I was very used to that behavior. So
Mm-hmm.
I already knew what to expect out of you. So I went to certain sources, direct to the source, to get the information that I thought I wanted. Got it. Did some people, were, and there were several phone calls and texts that were exchanged
Mhm.
between me and other people. And some were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know about you. Holy crap. Oh my God.
Yeah. So people, well, because that's the liar in the addict. That's the liar in the cheater. That's the liar. In all of it, that's the man. That is what That's the I think that's the number one thing that me as an addict, or me as just from my past childhood, our first go-to when confronted, and I don't know if that's every man, but a lot of men, our first go-to is well, let's just create a lie, let's just go to this, or at least that was my go-to, in a time of sickness, and I just would lie about everything, and bullshit, and bullshit, not only you, but the other female that was involved.
Yeah. And then there was a couple who were drug addicts themselves who
Mhm.
their reaction was pretty expected, and it was more gaslighting and, the kind of thing that you would hear from an active drug addict. So I was
Sure.
like, you are useless. And, you might want to da 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 and then hang up. But,
Yeah.
From that point on, I think I was mainly numb
Mm-hmm.
for several weeks. Like I couldn't feel my face.
I believe that.
I literally could not feel my face. And when I could feel my face, it was burning hot all the time. And I hated that feeling. I hated that my guts were churning 24/7. My guts were churning. Like I could not find a comfortable spot where I could just relax, not think about anything, and where my guts were not churning. I didn't
Yeah.
eat for weeks,
Yeah.
literally weeks. And I think you said something to me when you first saw me a couple months later.
You were terribly thin.
Yeah. And I wouldn't suggest that as a diet, people. So
No.
it was not fun. But I think because the therapy wasn't helping me as much as I hoped it would, that I devised my own plan. The song to get the certain thoughts out of my head. And the more that I don't think about those things, and the more that I don't make up, stories to fill the holes in the story, the more that I don't focus on that, then the less my guts started to churn.
Sure.
And then the huge catalyst was, I mean, don't get me wrong. You and I had our knockdown, drag out, screaming, I need to tell you and scream in your face everything that I am feeling, everything that I think. And you had to tell me where you were coming from at the time. Now that you were clear headed, you had some things that you had to say for yourself. I mean, but I think one thing that really helped was that you were not totally defensive. You weren't, and this time around it was different, because before you would get very, very defensive and argumentative, and then the gaslighting would begin. But this time you were like,
I had to own my shit.
defeated. You were like,
Yeah.
I deserve this.
I
You know,
deserved every cold word, anything that was said to me at that point, because I just know that I was in a constant state of remorse, and I'm like, how do how do I come back from this? And and that's the question that most men have to ask themselves, is that the partner that you're with, and if you've cheated, or if you guys are in this unhealthy relationship, is you have to ask yourself the one question is that, is this something I want to go do long term with you? Because staying in a relationship for the wrong reasons, and I know people that do that. They go back and forth from the relationship. I've just dealt with this with a friend of mine that I've been helping through, and left to our own devices, and that's why I consult other people. That's why I belong to a recovery fellowship, and I have a sponsor that I speak with, and but I haven't had to talk to him about any grave issues. But the one thing that I know early on in my recovery and trying to save my marriage with you was that, he was like, leave her alone. You have nothing to offer at this moment, and give time and space. And time and space, I think, was the big healing point for you, because I wanted to be all up in your face. I just take me back. And it just doesn't work that way, and that was what I knew. All I knew was that I wanted, and you even told me, like, dude, I'm going over to my friend Heather's house. Please do not call me this weekend, because I just need time and space. And maybe you can elaborate on the importance of time and space, especially with couples that maybe are in the process of going through divorce, or in a bad relationship. You guys are separated. You're living here, she's living there. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
yeah, you weren't willing to back off. So I actually called my friend, and I'm like, I have to get out of here so that he can't show up on my doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
He can't knock on my door at 3 a.m.
Right.
He can't call me and text me and keep bugging me to come over or to see me, or
You weren't coming over to where I was. I'm sleeping on a couch.
But so I literally called her, and she lives alone, so it was easy. And she's like, yeah, absolutely, you can come. And that's when I told you, I'm like, you have to back off. If you don't back off, you're only going to push me away further, and then I'm really going to want nothing to do with you. 'Cause
Right.
if you can't respect that I just need a couple of days of fucking silence, not arguing, not text arguing, not having this huge, back and forth for 3 hours texting session that is just making me feel worse and worse. And then I hang up the phone and I want to go throw up. I just need, like, somebody else in front of me that I can have a normal adult conversation with, because
Sure.
I can't talk about this with my kids. I can't talk about this with my sisters. I can't talk about this with my dad, because I
Even though they all talked about it at some point, it was obviously has to come up.
there was a few tidbits, but I was always very protective of you,
Mm.
because I knew who you were. I knew who you really were, and I did not want the people that I cared about most in my life to think that you were a piece of shit.
Your family.
Because on paper, you were a piece of shit.
Sure. Absolutely. 100%.
And I was even in the middle of knowing that I'm not going to go out and do something stupid to make myself feel even worse.
Yeah, sleep with another guy.
But
you can say it out there. Because that's usually the first go-to. The
Right.
go-to. I know people that right now, that's the go-to is, I want to hurt you like you hurt me.
Right. And that's just going to make me feel worse, because I already tried that once, several years before that. And it didn't work. And I was like, nope, not going to do that. I was talking to someone else, texting someone else from high school,
Mhm.
that I had, brief encounter with in high school. And he found me on Facebook. And when my status changed to single, he's like, I've stalked your Facebook for years, and you were always married or, in a relationship, he said, and I saw it change to single. And I was like, I figured I'd say hi. And I was like, okay, so you've been stalking me for years. But anyway, I was hungry for somebody else to talk to,
Mhm.
that I could absolutely pour my heart out and say everything that you did, and let them think that you're a piece of shit, because they don't know you. They'll never know you. They'll never meet you. They'll never be a permanent part of my life that I care what they think of you or me. Because if I go back to you, and I did, that person told me when I told him I'm going back to my husband, they of course said all of the things you'd expect them to say. Why would you ever go back to that piece of shit? This is what he did,
Of
this,
course.
and this. And I just told him, you will never understand. You've been single your whole life, been through hundreds of girls. You've never been with somebody for 12 years, been married, had a family, had kids, and been through the things that we've been through together. And you will never understand. And so I don't expect you to. So I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt, but bye.
Yeah.
And so, but before that, it's like when you're trying to get to the point where you can flip from wanting to hurt someone to just wanting to feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
The point came for me when it was a few weeks. You finally gave me that weekend with my friend. Basically, we sat around. We did nothing. We went out for sushi one time,
For sure.
but we sat around and watched Netflix. It was great.
Yeah.
We went.
And that's the thing is so the guys that I know, like the guy that I know people that are going through this, and our instant go to, because of the guys that we were the cheaters, we did this. Our first go to is they're out, they're out getting it. They're looking for that other guy. I'm gonna be replaced. Oh my God, the insecurity, and that's the biggest thing that goes through your mind is, oh my God, I'm gonna be replaced. I need to be right in her face, and I need to be there, and I need to be, I gotta show her I'm the knight in shining armor, and it doesn't work that way. It does not. I think it does more harm than good.
It does. And if you had not given me that weekend to myself, we probably wouldn't be together now, because I think I told you, if you can't respect 2 or 3 days, whatever it was, if you can't respect not texting me or calling me for 2 or 3 days, then you're never going to respect me. And this is going to show me.
Sure.
And you did. You said, okay. And you backed off. And
it was
like,
painful. Oh my God. Probably the most painful 3 days of my life, was like, because, I was so far away from you. I was living like, a couple, 100 and something miles away, because I was at my dad's house, and, I was just like, oh my God, and I was journaling, and it was just, I was just trying to put my feelings on paper, because I just didn't know how to get through these emotions. And, so after that weekend, and this is where, I'm trying to find out, and this is where guys need to understand the why this is key for women, is why it's key for you guys to have that time and space continuum thing there, because I know for me, it was not good for me, because I'm losing, you're winning, and that's how we think. So explain to the nurturing qualities of why this is necessary. And what about the people that hold on to, for instance, pictures, text messages you found from your boyfriend that you sent to your phone and you're carrying in your phone? What is something you can do to fix that?
So I did all that. I saved every text, every, picture, everything for, even the text conversations that I had with the other women. I saved those for a long time, and I would torture myself with them sometimes. But that weekend away from me you were the noise in my head, and I needed to quiet the noise. And that weekend I finally felt like, okay, I am doing something that is not hurting him.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
But it kind of is a little bit. But it's not hurting him in a way that I am hurting myself at the same time. It's hurting him because now the tables are turned. Now he is in the position. You are now in the position where you're sitting in a bedroom or whatever all weekend long, wondering,
alone,
where the fuck is my wife?
Empty.
Where is she? What's she doing? Who's she with? And you're wondering that. I told you who I was with. I told you where I was, but I knew you probably wouldn't believe me. Just like I never believed you when you told me who you were with or what you were doing or what you were going to do. And you weren't. But I wasn't lying to you, so I didn't feel bad about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't make myself feel worse by doing something that I would regret later. But
right, and so why do people turn to that? Why is that? I'm going to hurt you because you hurt me. mentality. What do you think would be the outcome for a woman, or let's say a girl cheated on a man? I mean, what would be the outcome? How would that person feel, do you think, after going out and getting retribution or revenge? Do you think that it makes it any better? And do you think that the couples can survive that after that happens?
I've done it. You and I have both done it. You did it to me. I did it to you. You did it to me. I did it to you. It's like we've done it. I've been there, and
Much younger age.
much younger. That was numerous years ago. But when
Before
that
we were
happened,
married.
and when I did it,
Mm-hmm.
I literally, I went in the bathroom and threw up. Like, I can't fucking believe I did that. I hate myself now. I hate you.
Right.
And I thought this was going to make me feel better. Like I am just digging the dagger in, but I only dug it into myself.
For sure.
If I think about it too hard right now, I'll probably start crying because
For
I
sure.
still hate myself for doing that.
Well, you don't have to, man. That's long past
I
water under
don't
the
punish
bridge.
myself
No,
for it
don't.
anymore, but I still hate part of myself for doing that.
Yeah.
And I hate that I turned into that type of person when I am not that type of person.
But
Like,
that's that self-forgiveness, though, that they talk about for healing. That if because before you can forgive anyone else, you have to start with forgiving yourself, I believe. Yeah, like me, I knew that there was no way I'm coming back from this. Addiction, this degradation, this humiliation. There's just this cantankerous behavior that caused me to be this monster of a person. And when I left treatment, I just remember the guys that I was working with, and they're like, dude, until you can forgive yourself, you're never going to be able to move forward. You're never going to be able to have a happy, joyous, and free life.
That's true, but you also have to remember that forgiveness it's an ongoing action.
Absolutely.
It's not a I forgive you and done. And the same thing with yourself. It's not a okay, I forgive myself. I'm going to forget about it and everything's hunky dory. It's an ongoing, active process of continuing to forgive yourself and maintaining it.
Well, and I think too on that is that the forgiveness on the forgiveness end of that thing is once you've forgiven yourself, it's not necessary. It's like it says in when I was in AA. It's we don't regret the past, nor do we wish to shut the door on it. And that's a big deal. Because you have to draw from that past because you don't want to repeat the same history that you just created.
And I think that's what I was afraid of and why I didn't want to see you is because I didn't want seeing you to bring up all the crap in my head again and then me revert to being the person that I didn't like. So the huge turning point for me, like when I finally agreed to see you,
Right.
you took me out for sushi.
I did. Yeah, we did. We went out for sushi. I forgot about that. Yeah, we went out for sushi the first time. I keep thinking about the weekend at the beach and the concerts.
Really fun stuff. The
Yeah.
concert and the beach, that was
Yeah.
great. But we just went out to a dinner first. And it was,
did you like that part? Like, so was that the start of evidence for you to think that maybe there's a pinhole of possibility that this guy could change?
the start of evidence was part of it, but it was the test. And I think I unconsciously was giving you tests. And to me, the test was, and I'm sure this is the same for a lot of women, but the test was me being the biggest bitch to you I could possibly be. And, down 1 minute and up the next and like, hey, everything's hunky dory. And then something reminds me of something and I turn around and snap at you. And then it turns into me just unleashing, everything I can think of to say to you to hurt your feelings.
For
And
sure. I remember.
I did it several times. I did it more times than I can remember, but it was the last time that I did it that was it was the nuclear bomb for me. Because the last time that I did it, and remember, I've known you for 12 years at this point. We've been married for seven or
something like that.
that. And
Dated for 5, married for 7, and
Mhm.
and now here we are, going on 16 years.
yeah, but every time before that, when I would do that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
I knew what you would do. I could set my watch by it. You would get defensive. You would scream and yell at me. You would gaslight me, and then you would turn it all around on me and make everything my fault.
Mm.
Number one, you didn't do that, and I kept unleashing on you. And then something clicked in me, and I just looked at your face, and your face said everything that I needed to know, and it was, I deserve this, and I'm going to keep taking it. And as much as you
Mm-hmm.
have to give me, I'm going to keep taking it. And you didn't say a word. You just kept taking it. And at that point, the door, whatever it was, came slamming down in my mind, and I looked in the mirror, and I was like, he doesn't deserve this anymore.
Hmm.
There has to be a stopping point, because
For sure.
he's not doing what he used to do. He's actually doing what he's supposed to do. And at that point, maybe was soon enough for me to stop that it didn't flip over into abuse.
Correct. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't, because I don't remember continuous punishment.
But
and very minimal. I mean, I would just try to be the best version of myself. I knew that that's the guy I used to be, was the overreactor, the reaction guy. And this time around, after having worked with my sponsor, Mark, and had was taking on a more spiritual, tranquil, peaceful, selfless approach to restarting my life, and I did a lot of prayer, like a lot of praying. Praying was a big thing for me. Like, I had to have that prayer and that meditation, and then that kind of review my day 10th step thing, just going over in my head of, because I never ever wanted to repeat the history. I never wanted to feel the actual pain that I felt for the 2 weeks that I was in the treatment facility, and like, that was the most excruciating, like, it was just a relentless, nightmarish horror that just played over and over. And I just, like, had no control of what was going to happen. Like, I was going to lose my car. I'm going to lose my plate. I'm just going to lose everything. I'm totally screwed. And, because I knew I was financially just wrecked. I'm about to lose a car. I've got a pension coming from my previous job. I'm like, hopefully I don't lose that money, and I have nobody to pay my bills, and how the hell am I going to overcome this?
And you're going to lose your wife.
Yeah. Well, that was why I was crying. I was writing you letters from treatment because of the pain I was in, because, man, holy shit, not only did I cause myself this nuclear scorched earth life, but, now I have this wife who was the pariah for my, bullshit, I guess you could call it.
Well, when I didn't get the reaction from you that I normally did,
Mm-hmm.
that's when everything just flipped around on me. I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, now you are abusing him.
Mm.
And now this is your fault, because he is now, you're looking at the man you were always hoping would come out,
Mm-hmm.
and you are verbally abusing him. And at that moment,
it's a short term though too. I mean, this is, I don't know, 4 months after I'm out of treatment. I mean, there's still a lot more to be had and more evidence to be provided.
But at that point, I told myself, when I looked in the mirror, and I felt like a gut punch, and I was like, I am never going to do that again.
Mm.
Just like I had decided I am never going to go out and screw somebody else again just because he did.
Right.
I'm not going to hurt myself thinking it's going to hurt you.
Yeah,
It
I'm
might,
not gonna ingest poison and pray that it hurts you.
Right. I'm not gonna keep drinking poison and hoping somebody else.
Hoping that I die. Yeah, I know.
But
whoever.
I'm not gonna sink to being an abusive person because I'm hurt. Because hurt people hurt people, and I don't want to be one of those people that hurt people, no matter what has been done to me.
For sure. Yeah, and that's kind of where I was kind of going with this, is that, I just know from and this is what I can share for guys. and especially if you have been the offender and not the offended. If you are the offender, you know, an apology without action is manipulation. If you just apologize to somebody and your behavior doesn't change, you are just manipulating that person at that point. And I believe that action is everything. The video has to match the audio. Because you can talk all the best shit in the world, but if you're not acting upon that in the literal sense, and what I can say is that, from my standpoint is that, my wife wanted a lot of evidence, and when I say, you can see her, she's nodding over there, because the evidence needed to be sufficient.
Well,
and
you also had the pattern for the 12 years before that of, oh, I'm going to show her a little bit of evidence for like 2 weeks and then she'll get off my back. So, I had to get through that 2 weeks and then the next 2 weeks and the next 2 weeks to know that what's coming out of your mouth is not bullshit. Cause I wasn't hearing the words that were coming out of your mouth anymore.
Yeah. You were just watching the behavior, and that's kind of the thing, and this is where, I try to help guys, where I'm trying to help you if you're a guy in a relationship or if you're a guy that, was the offender and you hurt the person and you miss that person or that person and you are separated, or you love that person or you want to save that marriage and you just don't know why you did what you did, because there's not a lot of there's some explanations and then there's not a lot of explanations. And it's weird because, here's what I can say in my defense. Under the influence of the drugs I was using at the time, I did not feel like the man that I am today. I don't feel like my conscious decision-making self. And the decisions I made were absolutely the worst decisions I could have made. But what I do know, and I can't blame that, because I don't want to use the word excuse, because it wasn't an excuse, but I can't express that there's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde mechanism in some men. And I am that version of the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when I use, like, I turn into somebody that I don't even know who I am. And this new guy takes over, and this guy doesn't give two fucks about anybody in the room or who he's hurting or who's, he's just good time fucking Charlie, and he's going down that road, and sometimes it's a point to hurt people as well. It becomes hurtsome, where that guy, that action, that whatever, fuck him. That's where this other alter ego, who I call Mickey, was, because, I don't want to go too much into my history of, who I was before, this morning radio personality stuff. If you know me, you know me. If not, we'll save it for another day, save it for a rainy day. But I had two personas. I had the egotistical, Mickey, the kid guy, who I was on the radio. And then I had this Mickey guy that was the fun party guy still at home. And then when I got clean, and when I started to turn my life around, I went back to my God-given birth name, which was Michael. And so, but the people who still know me as Mickey and still call me Mickey, I love those people. And I still respond to Mickey. My mom calls me Mickey, from time to time. And, but the man I am today, the real man in me, is not the kid Mickey. It's Michael. And I have quite the redemption story of just a lot of hard work spiritually, physically, emotionally, that brought me to this place. And you too can have that. You just got to try. You just got to get up every day and just keep your day in the 24 hours and try. And if you're separated and your significant needs time and space, allow her the time, the freedom and the time and space that she deserves. Because if you force yourself to be the comeback king, and you try to be comeback king, and, again, like I said, the apologies without action is manipulation, and most women are going to want, and unless you're that guy that preys on the weak, because my wife is a fucking savage. My dad said, before he passes, he's like, man, if your wife takes you back, she'll be the strongest woman I know. Because not many women recover from the bullshit you put her through. And it's the truth. Yeah. My wife is, she's the 10,000 pound gorilla in the room, and big broad shoulders and a padded ass. She can handle it all, and I'm blessed to have her. But that's would be my thing. And what advice would you have to share with women about the healing process at this point? If two couples are now in the point of conversation, of what are some steps to take to go to another level of healing on a personal level?
First and foremost, I think you each need your own space and time. And if you're living together or you see each other frequently, still, take some space and time. Don't be all up in each other's grills. You don't always have to be talking this out. You don't always have to be, trying to fix everything, because sometimes not everything can be fixed with words. Sometimes you just have to let it die. And letting it die means walking away from it and not giving it any more energy. But I can only speak to, what I could do for myself.
Yeah, your experience.
Which was, I had to quiet my mind. And so I needed some space and time away from you to do that. Because you talk a lot.
No. Me?
And you have a tendency to fill the void with speech. And sometimes I just needed some quiet. And it took me a very long time to get rid of all of the things that I used to torture myself, and to keep bringing up in my head, like, did you get all the answers? Did you fill in all the blanks? And my excuse was, well, I don't want to keep making stuff up that's not true to fill in the blanks. I want all the actual details. Well, I had to get over that. And the only way to get over that was to get rid of all the shit that I was looking at that kept bringing up all those negative emotions and the gut churning.
Let me ask you a question real quick, because that kind of brings up a thing for me. Why, and is this a woman thing? Why did you guys want the horrific details? Like why is that a thing? Like, I'm not a horrific details guy. Like, I just know, okay, this happened. Here's the information. Fuck, man, that really has got my head fucked up. And okay, I gotta let it go.
Women are first and foremost competitive with each other.
Okay.
Not so much men. Men are not always comparing each other, to each other, themselves to another man. Women are always doing that. And the first, the knee-jerk reaction is, was she as pretty as me? Was she as skinny as me? Or am I fatter than her? Or whatever. That's the initial knee-jerk. And then after that, it's, I need to know all the details so that I don't make it worse in my head than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to the little bit deeper, darker, actual root of the issue, which is, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to remind myself how bad this feels so that I can decide either I still hate you and I never want to see you again, or despite the fact that I have seen all of this and I know all of this information, I still love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to do something about that. If I still hate you and I absolutely cannot stand to look at you, because every time I do, it's going to remind me of this, then I need to not be with you.
Sure.
I need to let you go to be with somebody else and never think about you again, because it hurts too much and I still hate you. Might be able to forgive you and move on, but I still hate you for what you did to me and how you made me feel. Or I see all this, it hurts, but it hurts because I still love you. And therefore, if I still love you and you're doing everything you need to do, not say, but do, to prove that this is never going to happen again, that you are never going to make me feel this way again, then I need to do and at least explore whether or not we can work this out and I can go back to just loving you and not loving you while I'm hating you.
Excellent. Excellent. Nick asks, Nick Spalding on the YouTube chat, he said, what does accountability look like now?
Both of us know.
Start with yourself.
With me, like,
You can just talk to me, or
I can leave my phone anywhere in the house and I don't care if you pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know the passcode to my computer. If I ever ask you what's your password for this, that, or the other, you're gonna tell me.
Yeah.
You leave your phone all over the house.
Yeah. I can walk upstairs and go to the bathroom or go change my clothes, get ready for the gym, whatever I'm going to do, and I can leave my phone with knowing that I that's the one thing I love, is knowing that there is no that I haven't done anything deceivious, and that I don't have any kind of secret bullshit that I need to leave on my phone, that I'm worried about. The only time I go in there is if I take my phone with me to the crap house, it's because I'm playing DraftKings or getting my DraftKings lineup in, or talking to somebody on Facebook.
Right. Well, number one, it's that we don't care if we look at each other's phones.
Correct.
But number two, neither of us really feels the need to anymore.
No, and I haven't felt that need, but neither of us have felt that need probably in a good 3 years, if not longer. It was, things change. I changed. And for accountability for me is, I'm all about telling on myself. If I get a thought or if something's going on with me per se, I had a great example is, I told on myself to my wife, a guy right before New Year's brought me a bottle of blood, Johnny Walker Black Label as a gift. And this is what tells me, this is the growth in who I am. The thought that popped in my mind was just put it in the trunk. And I laughed because I have the identification today. I identify. I'm like, wow, you really are, that addiction thinking, it dissipates, but you get a stupid, it's like they drop one line. It's like your addiction drops one-liners on you. Hey, let's just put it in the trunk, Johnny. And I'm like, what? Where's that come from? It's like, come on, that's not spiritual. Put it in the trunk, save it for a rainy day bullshit. So I wound up giving it to my general manager because, I have no intention of ever drinking again, ever, because I know where one drink is going to get me. And if you struggle with that, with the fellas, that's the honesty part. When you're 100% honest with yourself, I think that's where the accountability is. It's the rigorous honesty that I live with every day. Most importantly, to thine own self be true. And without me being true to myself, I can't be true to anyone else. And so I'm very honest with myself. I'm telling myself, so I call my wife and I'm like, hey, you're not going to believe this shit, but, this customer brings me a bottle of Johnny Walker Black. And, my first thought was to go and put it in the trunk. And my next thought, because it's funny in AA, they say, think. The first thought is the stupid one. The second thought is a better thought. And the third thought is the action. And that's, think. And I just took it right up to my general manager and said, have a happy new year. That's accountability. And I called my wife and I told her about it, because I have to be accountable to her too. I want her to know where my head's at, at all times. She knows where I'm at when I'm depressed, when I'm not feeling it, when I'm happy, when I'm, going through shit. I have daily trials and tribulations. There's stuff in my profession that that's unacceptable that goes on that I'm not happy with, but I try not to bring my work home with me. That's the one thing I definitely do. When I hit my sanctuary door, which is my home, I try to bring the love, the happiness, and the jokes to the door.
You just said it too. You said, we can tell when you're depressed, or we can tell this, that, and the other. We can tell when you're lying to yourself too, or when you're hiding something.
Sure.
Even if it's something small. The problem that we as women repeat over and over is we turn it into something that it's not in and it grows into a, the giant freaking slug monster that just starts taking over everything until you tell us what it really is. And
Yeah,
if you
because you
waited
guys think
too
it's
long,
about you. You think
yeah,
it's you. Oh, what have I done? Is it me?
right.
Is it me?
And if you waited too long to come clean, it's almost too late because that monster's grown legs, and it's walking all over up in there. And
Sure.
if you wait too long to tell us, now we don't believe you.
Right. And that's why when you ask me that stuff, that's why a lot of the times I'm just like, it's not you. It's, yeah, I just need to I need to go and have my time and space. There are times when I just need to step away and, and have my time, where I'll just go play my game or just, change. I just need to change the scenery because I got to decompress. I got to compartmentalize and figure everything out because I'm a thinker today. Before I was a responder, a reactor guy that would, just be this batshit dude that would just bring this absolute, double-edged sword home with him and just start hacking people to death with words, and I don't like being that guy anymore, and that's not the guy I am. So as soon as you greet me at the door, hey babe, how was your day? And I just need to kind of get that thought out, and I just need to feel let go, and I try to let it go on my ride home, or sometimes when I'm having a great day. I'd like you to know those days too. I try to bring the happiness and the smile home with me.
But we as women, I think that all men need to know that we would much rather listen to you vent, scream, yell,
You want the Meadow Report?
punch something.
Yeah.
We would much rather see that than to see you stewing in it or going out and doing, drugs or drinking or
Sure, hurting yourself.
In your case, disappearing for 3 days and I have to call and, police report, find you and
Yeah.
Things like that. It's because, men these days they're supposed to be strong and, take care of everything. And, we've seen how many suicides in the past couple of months
Too many.
that were completely unexpected from men who were always happy, smiling, helping everybody else, taking care of business, doing what needed to be done, making money, taking care of their family. And then all of a sudden one day they just can't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We would rather you, punch. I'd rather you punch our 70-inch TV than take it out on yourself.
Yeah. And I see that every day. And well, I mean, I don't come home every day like that, but I see your response to all that stuff. And guys, that's the thing. I'm going to kind of conclude the show here over the next 3 minutes. But if this helped one person tonight, man, I'll tell you it was worth coming on here, and I'm going to do the show probably once or twice a week. Revolution, evolution. It's just about helping us evolve and getting to the next level, to another level of happiness, to being the best versions of ourselves, to finding that help and that research. Man, there's so many great books out there. If you don't read, get Audible. Audible, I listen to Dr. Jordan Peterson's book right now, Beyond Order. I strongly recommend the 12 Rules for Success, An Antidote to Chaos. If you like Jordan Peterson, you see his reels. He's fantastic. Hopefully, I hope to have him as a guest on the show at some point to also help. And my wife will be a continuous, pop-up reemergence on the show, because I love having the female perspective on certain things in life that help us as men become the best versions of ourselves and how we can be. But I think at the end of this, in concluding, talking with you, babe, is I think the biggest thing is that, we need to, aside from loving the people we do and recovering from the healing, I think the most important thing is we need to learn how to redate each other and rekindle, keep that love fresh and new and fun, as opposed to dull and boring and repetitive. I think that's the only thing that it really has propelled us to where we are today.
I'm the dull, boring, and repetitive one.
Well, you like the calmness of sitting at home, and I like to get out. I like to go to a meeting. Or go to a movie. Go to a movie with you, or take you out for sushi. And I mean, it's not like I'm 52. So it's not like I'm no spring chicken, that I'm going to, the Monsters of Rock show or, a 3-day, tour, the like we used to, we go to the, whatever it was,
Slipknot.
yeah, Slipknot show, which I love as a good
I'll
Slipknot.
never turn that one down.
Yeah, I don't think I will either, but I don't do, the big, Rock on the Range 3-day festivals, I just don't have that. You don't have that and I don't have that in us, but
My spine doesn't have it.
but a good concert, I'm in. For you guys and gals out there, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this for the first time, take that time. Take that time. Learn to reinvigorate yourselves and learn to reinvigorate your relationship. Most importantly, always keep it above board. Keep it honest. Keep it loving. Keep it kind. And heal. Heal separately and then heal together. If you're able to come back from your trauma, you healing yourself separately, her healing herself separately, and you guys are somewhere to bridge that gap again, and that's where you can heal together. But two sickies don't make a welly, and you guys everybody needs to heal before we can heal as a whole together. You think?
I think love and hate are two sides of the same coin, and everybody has the capacity to do both.
Yeah.
One person. So all you have to decide is which one has more power.
Yeah, love or hate. Yeah, the good wolf or the bad wolf. That's a fact. Hey, thanks for joining us on Revolution Evolution. Another episode next week, probably around the same time. You can always join us. You can always rewatch this one. Share it with your friends. And you can call the show anytime, 323-374-3855. Always here to help. And if nobody told you they love you today, I love you. So live on, love on, and rock on. We'll see you guys again.